Thank you. Thank you, Alex. And thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Fantastic to see so many people on the webinar. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us this evening. So it's been a fantastic couple of months. What an incredible Rugby World Cup it's been. And it's been really, really inspiring to see all of the activity that the clubs have been putting on for girls and women across the country. And we'll look a little bit more during the webinar at some of the examples of that. But it's been really, really inspirational. And we're really starting to see some of the impact of that as well on girls' participation. Tonight is all about how we keep that momentum going, how we continue to build on those successes and continue to provide really positive opportunities to keep girls in rugby. We're going to hear a little bit about some of the successes over the last couple of months, and then we're going to talk about a couple of really exciting opportunities as well that will be coming up for clubs to engage with. So to get us started, if you're happy to, it'd be great if you could use the chat to just put in your club name. It's always really interesting, and we know clubs connect when they're on these webinars. So to see who else is engaged and who's attending is always really nice. And then if you can just have a little reflection on what worked really well for your club to engage girls during the Rugby World Cup. And that could be something, really small, a little tweak that maybe you do to the activities that you deliver. It could be some of the girls' activity day activities that we'll probably talk about tonight. But yeah, in a couple of sentences, if you could just put that into the chat, in a little bit of time, we will reflect on some of them and highlight some of the really fabulous work that we know has been going on across the country. So I'll just introduce myself. My name's Yvette Hayward. I'm the Women and Girls Growth Officer. I've been in post for 3 years. And I'm part of the Rugby World Cup Impact Programme, which has all been about building to the tournament and to hosting the Rugby World Cup and how we really maximise the opportunities and the impact of hosting the Rugby World Cup. So this is the absolute pinnacle of that at the moment. We've had so much engagement, so much visibility. So how do we really maximise that? I'm super passionate about the younger girls age group as well. I've got a girl myself who plays in the under 10s. So I've seen all the amazing experiences that she gets from playing rugby, but also some of the challenges that have come with that for her as well. And I will hand over now to the fabulous Mark Finnis, who is co-hosting alongside me tonight.
Thanks, Yvette. So I'm Mark Finnis. I'm an RFU club developer in London and the South East. I've been working with clubs across my area as both a volunteer and a member of staff in the Women and Girls Games supporting growth. And it's been fantastic to see the achievements so far. And let's raise the bar with, for the rest of the season and see where we can get to going forward. Thanks, Yvette.
Brilliant. Thanks, Mark. So just to give you a little bit of an overview about what we'll cover in tonight's webinar. So we've got Alex Avery on the webinar, Women and Girls Rugby Marketing Manager. So Alex is going to just give us an insight into what that visibility has looked like for women and girls during the Rugby World Cup, and also just a few kind of tips on how we can build on that as clubs to really have the impact, the potential impact that we've got. Then we're going to celebrate some of the successes that we're having with girls playing mini rugby at the moment. We've got Fliss from Worthing Rugby Club, who's going to give a bit of an insight into some of the fabulous events that they've been running. And we'll also reflect on some of the input that you're putting into the chat at the moment and celebrate some of those successes. And then we'll look ahead. As we said, this is really about building that momentum. So we've got a couple of exciting opportunities that we'll be sharing with you tonight. And then finally, hopefully, we'll have a bit of time at the end for questions. We have got quite a lot to fit into an hour. We will try and answer questions as we can. So any questions that you have, please put them in the chat. If we can answer them as we go, we will. If we can answer at the end, we definitely will. Previously, we have run out of time. We have had a lot of questions and engagement, which is always fantastic. So, what we'll do if we can't get to all the questions is just create a bit of an FAQ, and we'll share that after the webinar. So, yeah, please do use that chat, and we'll do our best to answer the questions. So, with that, I'm going to hand over to Alex. And Alex is just going to give you a bit of more insight into that visibility during the Rugby World Cup.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Yvette. Lovely to meet everyone. Not the first time I've done anything like this, but first time for the women and girls, which is really exciting. Just a bit about my background. I used to be the senior men's marketing manager, focused on our men's team, and about 6 months ago moved across to focus on our women's team, looking at the World Cup and beyond. My role looks after both the commercial marketing element, but also the participation marketing element as well, looking at how we can sort of encourage people to encourage young women, girls, and sort of adult women as well to take up the sport. So for today, I'd like to just take you through some early results we've seen off the back of the World Cup in terms of the interest not only in women's sport, but in women's rugby in particular. Following that, I'd like to give you a quick overview of what we did as a marketing team on a national level through our Love Rugby campaign to get people interested in rugby, but also searching for their local club through our Find Rugby tool. And then finally, just some very quick tips and tricks through social media and email marketing that I have sort of spoken about internally with some experts on what clubs can do. So yeah, lovely. The first one I just wanted to take you through was a very sort of generic year-long graph to show for the Red Roses people searching through Google throughout the last year when the most popular times have been. So looking at this graph, we can see it's very clear, and it's probably something we all expected but don't usually tend to see, that around the final we saw a complete peak of people searching for the Red Roses and England women's rugby team. So this really sets the scene as to how the interest in this country is built across time, but is also starting to peak within women's rugby. So first, a really good basis for me to sort of kick off on and move on to the next slides to show you. So what I've then done is we've gone and worked with YouGov. Hopefully most of you will know YouGov. They are a sort of one of the biggest polling companies in the United Kingdom. And we can see over the past year the general level of awareness of the British public or English public around the Red Roses of being aware of who they are. And as you can see from just pre the tournament starting throughout the tournament itself, we've seen a clear rise in people aware of who the national women's rugby team is. Now, that's really important for us on a couple of levels. One, because it means we get more fans into the game, but two, we start making more people aware that women's rugby is a really viable sport at the grassroots level, to encourage people to take their sort of their daughters and sort of other individuals down to clubs to start playing. We call it the sort of lioness effect, this idea that the success of the national team at the top level should transcend down, hopefully, into the grassroots level as well. So then what I wanted to show again through Google searching is what we call like play rugby results, and how popular sort of people searching for play rugby within Google is. So we can see we had a slight spike around the men's Six Nations in February earlier this year. However, we've seen the largest sector of searching around the Women's World Cup final, searching to play rugby over the last year through Google. So that is really important, and what it's showing us is now women's sport is moving into the mainstream. And women's sport is very much here to drive participation and be seen on that sort of front edge. So what all of these together sort of show is a chance to harness an opportunity. So at the top level and the national level, we are creating this interest, and now we need to work with you as the clubs to then translate this into getting people down and picking up a rugby ball, or even sort of less than that, is just getting people down to rugby clubs and supporting it. We know that that's just as important. So yeah, really, really encouraging results so far. And then finally, I just wanted to show you again I just out of pure curiosity through Google, what about women play women's rugby? And again, we've seen a huge spike during the World Cup period. So all of this backdrop at the top level to really paints a picture that we've got a really good platform to build and get people down to rugby clubs. So I just wanted to take you through our Love Rugby campaign. For those of you who aren't aware, um, Love Rugby is a national program aimed at encouraging girls under the age of 18 to pick up rugby. But for the World Cup, we did some research with external partners, and we found that actually we needed to narrow down this search range of people we're targeting. And so we identified that between 6 to 12 years old is a time when parents are still making the decision for their children into what sports they play. Past this age, we start to see children being a bit more independent and choosing and deciding to narrow down to one or two sports. So by aiming for 6 to 12-year-olds and the parents of 6 to 12-year-olds, we're getting the idea of rugby in with these children very early so that when they come to make their decision, there's much more chance that they pick rugby as one or two of the sports that they take on for the rest of their life rather than dismissing it instantly and trying to pick it up at 13 years old. So what we've done is taken our Love Rugby campaign and then adapted it for our a 6 to 12-year-old audience. And so through this campaign, what we've done is try and push everything through to the Find Rugby tool. So everything that we did that you can see on the sort of pinwheel here that I'll go through in a second had a click through to Find Rugby to encourage people to find their local rugby club and head down. So what we used our sort of England Rugby and Red Roses social media channels to promote the campaign and promote the sort of fun, friendship and feeling amazing. We also had a significant social media paid budget that went behind targeting the parents of 6 to 12-year-old individuals to get them excited about the World Cup and to pick up and head down to their local club. We had a dedicated PR agency that worked heavily on spreading these stories out to local media, local and national media, and it's something we did alongside Rugby Fest as well. We utilize partners. So some of you may have seen our link up with Merlin, with the roller coaster at Thorpe Park that was renamed to Red Roses Hyperia, and our collaboration with Barbie on a retail level, as well as the Design Your Shirt piece. What this allowed us to do was access new databases of businesses that had a very large 6 to 12-year-old or parents of 6 to 12-year-old audience and align our businesses and brands to really push rugby into a space where it's never been before. And then finally, we utilize paid influencers to drive traffic, especially around promoting the girls' activity days. So really everything we've done was driving people to Find Rugby, to find these different elements, to find activity days, to find Rugby Fest, or just to find their local rugby club if they've liked what they've seen on TV as well. Lovely, thank you. So now I'm just going to quickly move on to some tips. So that's sort of all what we've done, and now we're going to look at what can the sort of at grassroots clubs can you do? So I've picked four key areas that we've been sort of advised by our social media agency who sort of work with some of the biggest names in sports. The first thing they recommended is if you're not already, consider investing in paid social media. We appreciate now that with resources and budgets, this isn't possible for everyone. But if you've been sort of on the fence or are considering it before, it's a great way to target brand new audiences that will be interested in your club, and a great way of getting new people through the door or even just onto your database. The next is sort of frequency, and we appreciate that there's a delicate balance to getting posting right, but it's all about consistency. It's much more about making sure that you have a consistent cadence to your posting, so that people don't end up becoming apathetic against your work, and also sort of changing the content. And that's the third point is clubs I've seen before, they tend to just post sort of results or we had training tonight. Start looking at different types of content. And is that messaging right? Is that messaging right for attracting the parents of 6 to 12-year-old girls down? Is that messaging right for attracting 12 to 18-year-olds girls down? I think you'll find if you did a review of your social media, with a shift into sort of attracting sort of young women and girls down, you might find that actually what's being posted doesn't appeal to them. And so maybe you need to sort of rethink the strategy around there. And then finally is the tone of voice. And this links into the content is how are you speaking to these people? So it's not only the video they're watching on screen, but the text and copy that goes with it. Is that something that they can relate to? Is that something that sits within their online world? we're not saying that you need to completely rip up everything you're doing and your strategies on social media, but we are saying that you probably will need to shift slightly to be able to attract these new individuals down. So again, sort of put all together, you might not be able to do all of this at once, but even taking one or two of these tips and just having a review and a sit down and chatting with some other people at the club that work through your social media, understand is what you're doing relating to the parents of 6 to 12-year-old girls or to 12 to 18-year-old individuals as well. And then finally, just some email marketing tips that I've sort of wanted to quickly speak through. I've been made aware that some clubs do tend to just capture the data of players, and then just email them. So one of the first things I would say is actually become data focused outside of your players. Find every opportunity you can to capture data of friends, family, of people coming down to visit the club, on functions elsewhere that you can put into your own email system. So by setting up your own email system, you become the owner of your data. You're not reliant on anywhere else to be able to send emails. You don't have to log into anywhere. You own your own system. You can manipulate that data. You can start segmenting and sending to who you want. As I mentioned there, look to capture emails just outside of playing members because it's just as important to target them. They will have friends of friends who want to play, but ultimately they will help drive revenue into the club down the line in the future. So this can be in forms of competitions at the club, putting up posters with QR codes just to capture data, as simple as sort of leaving forms out that people can scan on tables. Any way and every way you can to find to capture data, we would highly encourage you to do that. Secondly, this is more on the delivery of emails. Thirdly, what I would say on the delivery of emails is really look to limit your copy and use engaging images. One of the biggest sort of killers we found of engagement across emails are when the text is far too long to read. I would highly recommend summarizing it down to no more than 150, 200 characters. And then if you need to link out to other places on a website, whether that be a blog or a social media, for people to read reports or whatever there. And then finally is another frequency one. Don't send too many emails in a week. This is the quickest way that people will unsubscribe from you and don't want to hear anymore. So really look to work on how many emails you're sending. Think to yourself, is this email worth it? Am I generating something valuable to the person who's going to receive it? Or is this just a business as usual that we could combine into another email? So yeah, again, very whistle stop tour on tips. Very, very conscious that I've taken up too much of your time already. But there's something to be said of maybe looking to be able to build these out further for clubs. So I'd absolutely recommend chatting with if this is something that interests you, chatting with your sort of club developer or your RFU rep, because the more clubs we get coming to us saying we'd love to do something on this in particular, we can then look to as a marketing, as an email marketing, and as a social media team, look to pull something together to make this more tailored to clubs. Whereas while I've got a limited time, I very much have to keep it top level. Um, so yeah, thank you so much. Apologies if there were any questions in the chat that I haven't seen. I don't know if we have time to answer any now, or if you'd like to save them till the end.
Yeah, is there, I'll just ask Mark if there is anything that we could just answer quickly.
Yeah, there's just the one currently, Alex,
Yep.
relating to yourself. So, can the RFU provide clubs with Canva templates to promote girls rugby?
So yeah, I think this is something that we look to do through Love Rugby as part of the campaign. Is we created templates and frames that were editable that the clubs could sort of type in their own names, and it's something that we're finding more and more that clubs are interested in. So yeah, absolutely, that's something we can do. What we do tend to do is base it around a campaign rather than specifically just promoting girls rugby in general. So we will create a Love Rugby template for you that you are then able to take and use. So rather than just put come and what play girls rugby here, it will all be based around the campaigns there. But yes, absolutely, it's something we currently do and will continue to do, hopefully in higher volumes moving forward.
Brilliant.
Thanks,
Thanks, Mark.
Alex.
Thank you very much, Alex. That was fantastic and really appreciate your input on that. So, I mean, it just shows, I think, the exciting opportunity that we had. I think everyone is aware of that. I think we all kind of know it and feel it at the moment. but just really to highlight that, which is very exciting. And we'll talk a little bit more as we go through the webinar about the findrugby.com functionality as well, and some of the programs that will be coming up in the next few months will be very much linked to that functionality on our website. So we know it's really effective and very valuable, especially when we put some kind of paid media and promotion into that. So moving on, we are now just going to look at a few examples around some of the success that clubs have had, really using the Rugby World Cup to engage and bring new girls into the club. The girls' activity days, I'm just going to give a little bit of kind of an overview on the impact that they've had, but they've been hugely successful, and I'm sure a number of you on this webinar have been involved in those as well. Fliss from Worthing Rugby Club is going to talk about some of the fantastic events that they've been running during the tournament, and yeah, brilliant to have her to be able to kind of talk through some of those live examples and lessons that Worthing Rugby Club have learnt. And then hopefully we'll have a bit of time just to reflect on some of the examples shared in the chat whilst we've been talking over the last 10 minutes. So girls' activity days, I expect a few of you were involved in these, and the concept of the girls' activity day was very much about bringing girls to the rugby rather than necessarily expecting girls to fit into rugby, which is quite often a very boy-dominated environment. So it was all about how do we create an environment within a rugby club where girls feel very welcome, they feel very comfortable. And so the kind of concept of actually having like a multifunctional day experience event was the girls' activity days. And we were able to support them through partnerships with Barbie and other partners to put on the crafting days, and the feedback from them has been really positive. And you can see just from a couple of the charts on the slide. So we know that of the number, all the clubs that have responded, 87% have said that the girls' activity days were either effective or somewhat effective in recruitment, which is, compared to other campaigns and other initiatives that we've kind of driven previously, that's a really successful marker. So we've been really, really pleased with that. And then the other one is around how many participants have returned after, so new participants that came down to a girls' activity day returned to the clubs. And we can see 70% of participants that came along to a girls' activity day have then returned to the club. And actually 15% of them have turned into registered players. So the impact of those days have been incredibly effective. And the concept behind them, really, the feedback has been what made them really successful was that they were all about the social side, they were about building friendships, but they did give them activities with the like crafting and things that girls feel quite comfortable doing. But then the feedback was that the rugby skills was still the kind of favourite aspect of the day, and that was the bit where the girls really had fun and engaged. So that mixture and the combination of doing all of it together is what made it really successful. And then the kind of final bit of feedback that we've had is what really highlighted it for a lot of girls is where they were made to feel special. So sessions that were held on the main pitches or in like a special part of the clubhouse, getting older girls to come along and really big up the younger girls and support them, and having the coaches involved or the ladies team involved seemed to be really, really effective as well. So that's just a little bit of a summary. I'm sure you've all got your kind of own insights into what did or possibly didn't work so well, and hopefully we'll be able to hear from them. But before we look at some of that chat, I'm going to hand over to Fliss. But before I hand over to Fliss, what I'm going to do is show you a little video from an event that they put on during the Rugby World Cup, which was all about introducing brownies and girl guides along to the club. But part of that was some of the girls' activity days activities. So I will play this video there, and then I will hand over to Fliss to give a little bit more insight into what that's looked like for them as a club.
Really exciting evening at the club. We've got around 150 rainbows, brownies, guides and rangers who have come up to give rugby a try.
This is an ideal opportunity for them to experience something that they wouldn't experience before.
We took them to see New Zealand, Ireland at the Amex, and those girls loved it. So the opportunity today to come over to a rugby club, to have rugby coaches, is something the girls will remember. They get out in the fresh air, they do sport, and they make friends.
I think it's essential that our club goes out into the community and kind of spreads the word of rugby to people who may not necessarily have the chance to ever play.
No, I have never played rugby before, but it's really fun.
I think my favourite part today was learning how to pass properly and make new friends. Yeah, I think I would play rugby again.
World Cup has really affected the interest here at the club in women's rugby. We've had more people showing interest in coming up and trying. The Red Roses effect at the moment is just phenomenal. I don't think women's rugby has ever been so highlighted and popular. It's been really exciting and there's been a real buzz. It just goes to show really how popular women's rugby is now.
The Red Roses has inspired me.
I'll stop sharing and then hand over to Fliss.
Thanks, Yvette. Hi, everyone. My name's Fliss. I'm from Worthing Rugby Club. I'm the chair of the girls section. I have been there for about 5 years, the chair for them, been involved with the club for about 14 years now. So Worthing, really just very quickly, Worthing section, we obviously have under 12s, 14s, 16s and 18s, but we also have an under 10s and unders group. And we have an under 23 women's group and a senior women's group. So the point of what we try to do is once you've recruited is then try to retain. So we try and get them in nice and young during the minis. So we encourage them to still be with the minis, but we have our sessions that they do on a Tuesday evenings, the same night as the girls train. They come along, they see that. Some of them only like doing the girls sessions once a week. They don't like being in with the minis necessarily, but it means that they're engaged, they're having fun. That's really important for us. So that's our section as a whole. The strength, I think, from Worthing and where we do really well is in the management committee. So I'm on the management committee, but we have a really supportive chair and a really supportive president. You saw Pip in the video there, female president. They're very supportive, not just of the girls, but of the minis and the juniors, both girls and boys, and the women's as well, which I think sets them apart from some clubs, which are still a little bit stuck in the old boys network of just supporting the male team. And I noticed this when I was looking through Facebook posts to try and just get the National Cup scores of some of our local teams. Facebook was completely all about the men's team for some of these sections. And there was no mention even that the girls were playing National Cup that day. I think, to be honest, I think I'm very lucky at Worthing because our social media is a complete mix of obviously the senior men's team, but also the men's senior teams, the walking rugby, the women's team and the girls. And we get a lot of promotion across the whole of the section. I think it's really important if you're not on the main Facebook of the club to make sure you get involved with that and to drive that because it's so important. We've now got a branded identity and we're posting a lot, but it's all about different things and exciting stuff, which Alex was talking about. So what we did for the World Cup was nothing really new. I'm sure most of you have done all of those things. I think just talking about them sometimes helps though, because you suddenly might hear something that makes you think, oh, that's a really easy thing to do, a really quick, simple fix that we should look at doing. So we did sort of 3 main events for the World Cup. In the lead up to, in August, we had pre-season sessions in the summer holidays. So these were free sessions for girls to attend. We did 4 weeks of them, which then ran immediately into the season training. So what we sort of do to make them slightly stand out is about the first impression we make. So outside the clubhouse, we had our girls section banners up all around the clubhouse, and we have my players out in their training tops. So the training tops have their names on, so everyone knew who they were. They would meet and greet people arriving at the club. They don't take them to the pitch, they take them into the clubhouse first and give them a tour. So they show them where the loos are, so they don't get nervous and not don't worried about asking about that. They then went up to the bar, which can be intimidating if you've got a load of the old boys sitting at the bar, but they went in, they took them up there to that environment, then took them out onto the balcony to see the grounds, and then they were taken onto the pitch where they were then introduced to the coaches for the session. The girls then stayed and were there as their buddies if they needed them. So the girls might have 3 or 4 girls that they looked after, and they knew their names, and it immediately put the parents and the players at ease. So before anything had even started, they were in a good place, they wanted to be there, and they started to enjoy it. A lot of our coaches also, we had some of the women players come down to help as well, and a lot of the female players from all age groups were there to help. When they were doing the session, our players' parents are great. They would go and chat with the people. So they'd go and chat with them, talk to them about the club, talk to them about what we did, and also then make sure they had a leaflet at the end so they knew what to do. So the leaflet basically involves how to sign up, what to do, what to expect, who we all are, and a little bit about us. And that then, the brilliant thing about that was having everybody having one of those and also then emailing them out to them, the leaflet. It meant when we came to September and the ones who decided to stay on, they were already registered on GMS. They had already paid their membership and they had already done the youth consent form because it said on the leaflet very clearly how to do it with links on the email form. So I didn't have to spend time chasing them to do that. They'd already done that. It was brilliant. Also during those sessions, we utilised the Barbie bags and the Barbie water bottles for those girls. A lot of them were a lot younger. They absolutely loved them. They went down really, really well, a complete storm. The second activity we did, we were being approached by a lot of Brownies clubs to do individual sessions, and just realised it wasn't going to work. It was going to be a nightmare trying to get the coaches in different places. So working with one of the Minis managers, who was a Brownies leader, we then talked to the wider division, which is so much easier to do. Talk to just one person. She then coordinated all of the rangers, guides, brownies and the rainbows from the area and from the surrounding villages. We thought we'd have about 60 girls, but in the end 150 girls came for the session, which was an amazing turnout. Most of them had never been to the rugby club before in their life. Again, we used the tools we'd learned before. We had the flags out. The girls met and greeted them. They then took them up to the clubhouse where they then met the coaches, were taken onto the pitch to do the rugby activities. They then came up, back up to the clubhouse. I had luckily one of my parent helpers is a crafter because I can't bear all of that stuff, but she loved it all. So she took them for the crafting sessions and then they all had a hot dog. So again, my players' parents were there to chat to the parents, to inform them about what we did. And again, we gave them a handout at the end, and all the parents, we made sure had this with what my next step is, basically. What do I do now? About the information about training times, contact information, and a little bit more about make sure you watch the red roses and cheer them on and all of that. So all of those were really important to hand out. The crafting bits worked really, really well for us. So the rugby bit, obviously, to be fair, was the favourite, but the crafting worked well. With the rainbows, what we did was we did the designer top, so they loved just colouring in the sheets to do the top. The brownies loved doing the top. They also loved doing the origami hearts. They really liked doing those, and they put little messages for the red roses on, which was great, and we could use those for our social media. And then the guides and rangers, with the Merlin idea, we did design a roller coaster, but instead of just designing a roller coaster, we put more logistical elements into it. So we asked them to think about things like what sort of length, time, weight it would be, how much it would cost, where were the toilets, what cafes were nearby, what was the accessibility like. So they had to think about it in a bit more depth than just colouring in and designing a roller coaster. And they absolutely loved that. They really, really engaged with that activity for that age group. It was fantastic. We'd definitely be repeating that. I don't think we'd necessarily do anything different with it. We had it on a rolling system, so the rainbows were seen first, and then 45 minutes after they started, the next lot started arriving, and then 45 minutes after them, the third lot arrived. So we kept it going as a revolving thing throughout the evening, and it worked really, really well for us. It was a really, really good event. And then the third thing we did was the Rugby Fest. So we were engaged with the Rugby Fest weekend. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't great for most of us that weekend. We couldn't do our inflatable bungee run as we had hoped because of the high winds, but we still had really good fun. We had a family touch rugby event. But the key thing that really worked with that was, again, we utilised some of the crafting elements, and we had some jewellery tables making jewellery set up. And that was so popular with the girls. They loved it. We had some mums doing face painting, and some of the parents had a cake stall as well. So actually we made money on the event in the end, which has gone towards the girls' tour. But they really enjoyed that. And that was more of a community event. So utilising all of those sort of three things, as well as any opportunity, like we were part of the Worthing Carnival this year. We had a float and Worthing Carnival. We were at a big Worthing Festival this year with a big stall and a gazebo and lots of activities and stuff about being seen out in the communities. It's really important. But I think overall, because of those sessions, I think we've got, at the moment it's still counting because we're still getting girls in, but we had, I think, 14 of the 10s and unders. So sort of six-year-olds up to 10-year-olds, 14 of those joined us. We've had 6 new under 12s and 4 new under 14s. A couple of under 18s as well have now joined us. But I think the main, just 3 brief takeaways. As I say, most of you do all this stuff anyway, and I'm sure everyone does it brilliantly. For us, the 3 main things are the meet and greet. The first impression is so important. Just get the girls out there. They're the best advocate for rugby and the best advocate for the club, especially if they've got their name on their top. It just helps everybody so they know who they're talking to. Number 2, make sure they've got something to take away, a leaflet, anything, but something with, what do I do now? What's my next step? So with clear instructions on what to do and how to get in contact with people. And then the third thing is to be all over the socials. Just make sure the socials include the girls section on the main Facebook. You might have your own girls section group, whatever, but I personally think it's really important that you're part of one club, and the club should be representative of everybody. So if that's not happening, get yourself on the management committee and make sure it changes. I'm sure there's a few other thoughts of people have got some brilliant other ideas, but that's what we did, and it seems to have worked quite well for us.
Brilliant. Thank you, Fliss. I mean, incredible. And a huge amount of effort goes into all of that. So yeah, fantastic to be able to share that example. Lots of lovely comments in the chat. So yeah, thank you very much for that. I think the one thing that I took away from the last 3 points that you said is also about how you got everyone involved to help you, and making sure that you do get people, like if it's parents doing the crafting, if that's where their interests are, and how you actually kind of make it not all just on you, and you get those people helping you is so important, because there is a lot of work involved, isn't there? Right, I'm just very conscious of time, so we were going to look through that chat. Mark, is there anything that really stands out that we could just maybe highlight?
There's quite a lot of information in the chat. I think probably best due to time that I sort of generalize it a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Rather than, so thanks for everyone for posting, but so many good things happening, from watch parties in the area linking up with their girl guides and brownies groups, girls only rugby festivals with both schools and other local clubs, hosting pizza events, bring a friend events. Clubs have got new players. There's some clubs that have started new girls sections or a new women's section. So lots of fantastic activity out there across the country. Brilliant.
Thanks, Mark. And we will be able to share this as well. Oh, have I just bear with me. I think I was sharing the wrong slide there. Is that better?
Yep, just need to go back into slide mode.
Right, fantastic. So very conscious of time. We've only got about 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is just talk to you about the 2 opportunities that we've mentioned that are coming up to kind of support you to keep building on this momentum and engagement. And both the things that we're going to talk about are aimed at girls in the under 9s, under 10s, under 11s. And we have purposefully done this, and it's about putting on girls only opportunities for those age bands. And I can see from the chat, this is something clubs are already doing a lot themselves. So it's just to give a little bit more support to you clubs that are when you're organising this, give a little bit of guidance around what those sessions might look like. We have done quite a lot of research into this, and we've produced Mini Rugby for Girls as a guidance resource, which I'd really recommend if you haven't seen it already, just spend a little bit of time looking through that, because that does give you lots of examples of some fantastic clubs and what they're doing around this space. So definitely something, when you've got a few minutes just to have a flick through. So in terms of opportunities that we've got, so Try Love Rugby, a 4-week intro, is a new programme, and it's going to be all about introducing girls who have probably just come along through Girls' Activity Days or Rugby Fest, or they've decided to give rugby a go after watching the Red Roses, or they've played it in school. And it's how do we support those girls at those ages where we know often we can lose girls at under 9s, under 10s, where they've got that challenge of playing mixed contact rugby. And especially if you're coming into it brand new with little experience, it can be very, very daunting. And retention's hard, but recruitment is even harder for clubs. So we know that girls only environments can be really successful. We've seen that with a large number of clubs. And we also know from the research that girls are more comfortable and more confident in a girls only environment. They often will happy to be playing the mixed as well, and they will happy maybe to do the girls only, build up their skills, build up their confidence, and then go back into mixed rugby. But this is a really, really nice way for girls to be introduced into playing rugby if they're new to it. So the programme it's pretty simple concept. It's for clubs to register. All the kind of expectation is that you would run 4 weeks of girls only sessions aimed at the girls under 9s, under 10s, and under 11s. Running non-contact activities. So we've got T1 Rugby as the session plans. A lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar with T1 Rugby now, but there is information about what that looks like and what those sessions would look like. And then the first 100 clubs that sign up, and we'll share the link tonight, so you can look at it and then register if you choose to. Will receive a pack. So the packs for those clubs that do choose to register, it's to incentivize and to reward girls as well as to give them that experience that's really appropriate and where they feel comfortable. So the girls will get a loyalty card, a bit like if you go down to Starbucks and you get your coffee. They can get a stamp for the 4 weeks, and then when they've attended 4 sessions, we'll provide the clubs with 20 t-shirts, and they can give those out to girls as a reward for coming along to the sessions. There will be session plans and guidance that you'll receive hard copies of, and marketing materials. So I think this has come up a couple of times tonight. There will be some bespoke marketing materials to help you advertise this as well. And then also the finerugby.com, you'll be able to put all of your sessions into finerugby.com. That will be advertised. There will be paid media advertising your events over November. So you'll be able to put them into Fine Rugby. They will be searchable, and we will be promoting and advertising them as well. It is limited. We do only have 100 packs, so it's for clubs to register. If we do have over 100 clubs that want to participate, then there will always be digital resources online that everyone can access. So in terms of steps, and if you choose to be involved, it's to register. And as I said, we'll share the link. Then you'll be able to plan and promote what those sessions look like. We're not going to tell you when to put them on. That's very much up to you to decide what's suitable for you and your club and the girls in your area. So you can plan when you're going to run your sessions. You'll receive your pack, which has got the guidance around what those sessions look like if you feel like that would be helpful. And then the girls can complete their 4 weeks and they'll get their Love Rugby t-shirt. But we also know, we're doing a lot to promote the girls only stuff that isn't necessarily going to be suitable for all clubs. And that can be a challenge. It's extra time, it's extra capacity, it's extra pick space, and that's not really easy. So we're just going to spend as well a little bit of time. I'm going to hand over to Mark now, and he's just going to talk through how we can support girls that maybe aren't, if you're not running girls only activities, and how do we still give them a really good experience coming into a brand new environment if they've not played rugby, but they are going to start joining that contact mixed gender team. So I'll hand over to you, Mark. That's okay.
Thanks, Yvette. Could you click it on a bit? We've got a question there to start. Now, very conscious, we had a fantastic example from Fliss at Worthing of the things that they've been doing at the club. So we're not going to dwell on this question too long, but it's something I do like to ask clubs around, considering what does the first 4 weeks look like for that new player at your club? And if you could start putting it into the chat, what we'll do is come back to some of those comments later on. And if not, we'll provide the information, the resources that we send out at the end, if that's okay with you, Yvette.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great stuff. So, conscious of time, what we will do is start looking at the options available to players. Now, it's really important that the decisions made around playing opportunities are very much player-centred, development-driven, and supported by the playing opportunities. What I wanted to do this evening was just sort of highlight the options for those under 9s, 10s, and 11 girls that could provide appropriate activities at your club. So if we go down the middle piece on the under 10s, so they can continue to play mixed rugby. They could also play girls only rugby within their age group. And this might be that actually within those girls sections, are there local playing opportunities? Can you link with local clubs? Are there festivals with girls only playing opportunities within those festivals in and around your area? And then it may be that we've got a limited number of players at under 10s and under 9s. And in those situations, it may be appropriate that we look to combine those age groups to provide those girls only opportunities. Really importantly, any combinations must be CB approved. And for match days, only 3 players from the older age group can be on the pitch at the same time. Along with those opportunities, we've also got that fantastic opportunity with T1 Rugby to play mixed age groups at a personal level. And I've coached in the girls space for the last 7 or 8 years. I've found it very useful introducing girls to rugby through non-contact so that they understand the concept and the basic rules of play before we consider, bringing contact into their environments. And it's really important during this whole process with these players that if we consider it to be player-centred, we need to be having really good conversations with players and parents to understand those individual needs and wants as those players start or continue on their rugby journey. The other thing to highlight at under 11s is that there is an opportunity for under 11s to gain approval, but it's really important that the player is individually assessed, approval is obtained from the person that has parental responsibility for the player, the club's A grade chair, and also from the club's constituent body. Really importantly, we've got to consider where that player is in the journey. Is it appropriate? Have they gone through the various stages of age grade rugby where we've introduced contact, introduced scrums, introduced 2v2 contest possession? And if not, is there other opportunities where the under 11s may then combine with the under 10s to provide those new players some playing opportunities if they choose to have some girls only rugby? All the details for this are available in Regulation 15. You can also, and we will provide the link to Community Rugby Help as well, which has a wide range of resources and also support for any additional questions.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mark. We always get a lot of questions around the regulations, and I know there's quite a lot there that you have to understand and process. So if there are questions, please put them in the chat, and that's definitely something that we can provide a bit more clarity if you need it, but hopefully that is a good summary that will help people, because that is something that we get quite a lot of questions on. So I did mention there's 2 opportunities that we're going to be kind of launching following on Rugby World Cup success. So what I'm going to do now, we've got the Love Rugby series, which is just building on the playing opportunities piece. And I'm just going to ask Mark Saltmarsh to talk us through that.
Thanks, Yvette. Evening, everybody, and great to see such good numbers on the call. Absolutely brilliant, as ever. As Yvette says, really hugely excited about what's happening in the World Cup. I know that'll have been a theme of the call this evening. And our sort of second opportunity is Love Rugby series. Again, thinking about how do we really harness what's happened over the last 2, 3, 4 months, as well as the immediate past, to make the most of the opportunity of girls-only rugby. So keep your eyes out for this, because the launch of this will all be coming in the next couple of weeks. We wanted to make sure that we had a really good run at Try Love Rugby first, and then quickly on the back of that will be the Love Rugby series. And I did note one of the questions in the chat. She talked about what else for those girls who are already involved and might be doing things at clubs and elsewhere. So this will help that answer that question. Love Rugby series is all about trying to provide really good, fun, inspiring playing opportunities for those girls who have been interested, both in clubs but outside clubs in the World Cup, and inspired obviously by our Red Roses. It will be a series of 40 plus festivals across the country, from November right through to next June. And the idea is to try and provide a really strong girls-only opportunity for our under 9 to under 11 girls, so those who are in year 4 to 6. What we're really keen to do is make sure this is as open as possible. So we're talking about recruiting new girls to Love Rugby series. So those who might be working with in school coaching programs in schools, who might be working with school rugby managers or premiership clubs, PWR clubs, championship clubs, all those outreach type programs who have got a taste of the game and have been really enthused by it in terms of the World Cup, bringing them along, but to join with girls who are already playing under 9 to under 11 rugby in clubs as well. The idea of the format is to make it really inclusive. So some of you will be aware of MegaFest, which is all about trying to create game type activities for players of all different experiences in the game, giving them an opportunity to come along, try different skills and drills and things that get them involved, both in non-contact and contact rugby, and then finishing off with a gameplay opportunity as well. So it's actually a festival with some coaching beforehand, which will, of course, not only help the players, but those people the players have come with as well. So parents, coaches, teachers, etc. Our dates and locations are being sorted as we speak. We should have our first set of dates in the next week or so. Definitely by the end of October, we'll obviously be making sure we're sharing those. Those will be in November, and then we'll work right through, probably look at another date before Christmas, and then 3 more dates up until June next year. So opportunity really to try and bring that massive community that's growing so quickly of under 9 to 11 girls. And I know Yvette will have talked about success in that you've all driven in your clubs already. What we want to do is provide a really good opportunity for them to feel part of something alongside girls who might have just started, girls who might have been playing since they were under 7, but create a really mass opportunity across the board for them to enjoy the Love Rugby series. So keep your eyes peeled. We will make sure that everyone who engaged in this type of thing, everyone we've got registered through the age grade registration, all those clubs and other communities who've got girls playing with them, get the information directly as well. So again, really trying to make sure that we're providing those playing opportunities for girls only, which of course we have from 12 upwards, but we don't have from 11 downwards. So exciting stuff, hopefully, for all of you. As I say, keep your eyes peeled, and we'll make sure you get all the information.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mark. I can see a few thumbs up, which is nice. We will, as Mark said, we will definitely provide more information as and when we can. But nice to see all the thumbs up. I think we know a lot of you are starting to develop and really grow teams in this space. So hopefully they will be really welcome and valuable opportunities for those girls to play in that environment. Okay, fantastic. So I'm very conscious we've only got a few minutes left, and what I'd like to do with just the last 5 minutes is give you an example of Sutton and Epsom, who have been running. They started it last year, and they've been running some T1 girls only rugby, and it's just a wonderful example of what that environment has done for those girls. And I'll show you a little bit of a video, and then we'll just have a couple of minutes. Emma, who's kindly joined us just to talk, you're not going to have long, Emma, but just to kind of highlight what the impact has been and the success that they've had delivering T1 rugby. That will take us up to 8 o'clock, and then appreciate people have probably got things that they need to be doing. So by all means, feel free to drop off. But we will stay online. So if you've got questions, and I'm sure there's questions in the chat as well, we will stay online and answer a few of them. So I'll play the video now, and then Emma, I'll come to you just to add a few comments if that's okay.
So we were sitting around the table last year around this time and talked about putting together a group for the under-8s through to the under-12s, which will give us a transition group, but playing touch rugby will give them an opportunity then maybe to go into contact rugby in a girls-only environment after that.
In T1, the girls, they're nicer to be around, whereas in some of the boys, they just kind of take the ball like, okay, bye, see you. Whereas in with the girls, they're more about passing and the space.
The best thing about T1 rugby is the people and the actual rugby itself, with all the coaches encouraging you to do well.
I feel more confident, and that's better because before I used to be like really shy, didn't know anyone.
When the girls train with the boys, they don't get the ball very often, and boys are a bit more boisterous, aggressive, and there's just not that with the girls. They're all rooting for each other and they're all playing as a team, and it gives them all that confidence that actually I can do this.
Oggy, my daughter, she loves Wednesdays. Wednesdays are the night that she really struggles to miss. She loves the camaraderie with the girls, and I think she loves the freedom of experience. Experiencing rugby in its purest form.
When you've done 3 weeks at T1, you get awarded pink socks, and it means you're part of like the family, because in T1 we're a big family, and now you're like properly part of it.
Over to you, player.
The skill set, the scrums, the line-outs, the kicking, I think they really see that through the T1 game and the sub-games that we play to learn about playing a big game at the end of the training session every Wednesday. They really enjoy all those mini-games that go towards that. So kind of learning those sub-skills as well as building up to something where they can practice them all together is I think they really enjoy.
The ethos here for us as coaches is to make it fun first and foremost, to make them feel like they belong, it's a home, they have a tribe or a good positive gang if you like. And then the third part is that they're building confidence. And through that we've been learning various little things and little improvements that we as a coaching group have developed.
With T1 and the introduction of the girls coming into the club, we are hopeful and intend to run an under-12s team next year. So we've seen it as that bridge stepping stone from minis into girls contact rugby. We started in September of last year. We had 4 or 5 girls at that time and put a lot of feelers out to schools and clubs, and it's grown over the season to probably about 30 people participating now.
It makes me feel like I want to come again, like every single day.
Brilliant. So Emma, conscious that we're up to 8 o'clock, so can you just kind of summarize a couple of minutes, what was the real impact and lessons learned for you? And that we obviously made that last season. So have you managed to get your under 12s team in this year?
Yes, we have, Yvette. We've got our under 12s girls. We've transferred 9 over from the T1s throughout the last season. They started going into contact as well. So we now have our under 12s. They are still wearing the pink socks, and everybody loves the pink socks, and you can see us from miles away on a field. So it's great for the parents to find where their children are as well. And over the summer, we did a massive recruitment campaign, and we did the Brownies events as well. And we've got 12 new girls now, so we're nearly back up to 30 in the T1s, carrying on with that ethos that they're a family, they're all playing together, and the social side of it as well. So just building on that, really.
Brilliant. Thank you, Emma. There's a lot of love for the pink socks in the chat.
Yeah.
And I think it's all just part of that identity, isn't it? It's giving that girls that sense of identity and belonging, and that they're part of something. I can see somebody's put in that they won't have the links aren't working. We'll make sure that the links are working. If for any reason that they're not working, we will follow up with an email, certainly in the next couple of days. So we'll share the recording of the video, we'll share the links. Like Emma's video, the T1 Rugby example is in the mini playbook, but we can highlight where that is. So if it is something that you feel like you can show to other people in your club and it would just bring it to life a little bit, then I think videos can be really nice to be able to showcase that. So we'll highlight all of that in an email to you. Mark, conscious that we're over time now, so if people do need to drop off, please drop off. We will summarise, as I said, answers to the questions. Is there any kind of key questions that you think we can answer now?
No, I think we've covered off most things. There's some with asking for additional links which we can, pull together and send out as part of the resources. I know Mark Saltmarsh has answered, some of the questions about the regulations and that they're currently reviewing and listening to the feedback that's being provided by clubs, which is fantastic.
In terms of that review, is there any information we can give to clubs about how that review's going to take place, Mark? I know people are probably quite interested in how they can find out about that.
Yes, I can jump in there. So the review is a full review of Regulation 15, which is the regulations for the whole of age grade rugby. That includes obviously the girls' game, and it's probably the major review of regulations this year from an RFU perspective. So a really key one for us. We are just putting together a survey that allows us to, because we really want to consult on it, obviously, that allows us to consult with the game. And a link to that will be coming out very soon. We're also looking at actually asking players themselves what they think, so we can make sure that is a key part of how we reshape or certainly assess what the current regulations do as well. And it will involve, as I put in the chat, it will involve us looking at things like combining age bands themselves, rules and regulations around players playing together, times of the year, and all those sorts of things as well. So it is wide ranging. We again will make sure that link goes into your networks, Yvette, so everyone who's on this call can access that. And we would really welcome feedback from everyone on your thoughts. And obviously we will use things that give us a consensus to shape those regulations going forwards.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mark. Okay, great. So we're conscious now it's 8:05. I think we will definitely take away all of the questions, and if there's anything that we feel has not been answered, we will reshare them. I think Alex has put the links in again, so hopefully you can access them, and the Try Love Rugby sign up form as well. Just finally, we'd just like to say a huge thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight. We always really appreciate it, and I know it's a Monday night and there's probably lots of other things you need to be doing. So we really appreciate it when you take your time to join us to get these updates. And thank you as well for all of the time and effort that's gone into all the amazing activity around the Rugby World Cup and all the engagement with the girls. We have seen real growth, and we've seen nearly 1,000 new girls registered this season in the mini section compared to last season. So it is really working, which is fantastic to see. And we really hope that the new opportunities that we've shared with you tonight will be a real boost as well to keep that momentum going. So feel free to drop off now. If there's anything else that you want to add in the chat, please do. But otherwise, thank you very much, and we'll follow up with the rest of the information this week.